colony, emergency. Aliens, they have invaded, but we got the Marines. It's a chicken shit outfit from Wayland, Utah, to deal with this potential colony, emergency. Colony, emergency. 5 in the pipe, down to LV426. Backed by Andrew Bishop Hudson and Corporal Hicks. The place was deserted, except for a girl named Newt, and found an alien nest in a place you can't shoot. Shit got real, a battle ensued. Tried to evac, but we got screwed. Hudson was yelling game over, thinking we lost the fight, and had to take shelter as those monsters mostly come out at night. Because we got a colony, emergency. Aliens invaded and wiped out most of the Marines. A chicken shit outfit sent by Wayland, Utah, to deal with this colony, emergency. Colony, emergency. So we hunkered down in a tiny room, fighting off aliens as a nuclear reactor was about to go boom. The countdown was on, but we weren't leaving. Newt got taken and I was steaming. Found her captive in the nest of a queen, the biggest bugger I'd ever seen. Blew up the eggs it had laid, the chase was on, but we managed to evade both it and that colony, emergency. Aliens invaded and wiped out most of the Marines. A chicken shit outfit sent our Wayland, Utah, to deal with this colony, emergency. When we got back to the ship, you could imagine my surprise. The queen had stowed aboard, which led to Bishop's demise. I grabbed a power loader and was like, get away from her, you bitch. Tossed it into the airlock and threw the frickin' switch. It was sucked into space, just like the past alien I dealt with, and hopefully this is the last. After escaping that colony, emergency. All aliens dealt with, and we can sleep safely. At least that's what I thought, but you apparently fooled me, cause it turns out there's a fucking Alien 3. My honey, my baby, my ragtime gal, there's an alien on board, and this shit's going to hell, to hell, to hell, to hell, to hell.
That was another very good theme there by Mr. Shifty Gizm. I mean, great shit again with this time with Colony Emergency. You can follow his Spotify at Shifty Gizm.
Suno.
Not Spotify.
Yeah.
It's not going to be on Spotify, guys. No offense.
No, it's that AI generative type deal site where you make the songs. But hey, I need to apologize to you because the end of the song, it's a spoiler for Alien 3. But I mean that's just like the first scene of the movie, so I mean it's not a huge spoiler. I mean you gotta think there's an alien somehow tied to that movie. And,
yeah, it's called Alien 3. It's like, well, what are they gonna do for Alien 3 at that point? Not have the alien in it? Like,
yeah. After you watch the movie, you need to go and read about all of the production troubles and all the different scripts they were going to go with for that movie. It's quite fascinating, and the director of that movie, I done forgot his name.
David Finch.
David Fincher, yes. He practically disowned the movie. He does not want to talk about the movie. He only spoke about it once since he made it. Not a fan. A lot of studio interference.
He talked about it once because he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna talk about it now so I can say fuck this movie. Like that was probably the mentality there.
Yeah. But next week it's going to be an interesting conversation because that movie is where the series starts to take a slide.
I heard it does. It's a very controversial movie, Alien 3. So I can't wait to talk about it this week. But our next, what timeline am I in? Am I in the right? Am I having a stroke? Am I dying right now? Like, what am I talking about?
Yeah, well, speaking of timelines, at some point we gotta cover what was supposed to happen in The Predator, because there was sort of a like alternate alien timeline going into that movie at the end, but they didn't go with that particular ending. But it's Fox was really doing some weird stuff there at the end.
It's Fox. I mean, are we really surprised about Fox doing Fox
No,
things?
no, no. I don't know. Fox things may be better than Disney things, but
Yeah, but by the end there, they were kind of like just throwing shit at the wall to see what would stick.
yeah.
So I mean,
I mean, isn't that what Disney does today?
true. And
But
but we're
hey,
not here to talk about Fox, though. We're not here to talk
yeah, we're
about
talking about a
Fox.
good movie tonight.
Yes, we are talking about James Cameron's. Yeah, you know that guy, Timothy Cameron. You know the guy who did that shit movie, and then that one robot movie, and then that one
Well,
nature movie.
those two robot movies. There's
Oh, that's
two.
right.
He
He
did.
did do two robot movies, and one of those
He did
robot
two of them.
movies is considered one of the best action movies of all time. So I mean,
Well, I mean, both of them are.
that's true. So I think this guy James Cameron's got a future in the film industry. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
I think he's fine. I think he'll do. I think he'll have a successful career. I think
yeah,
he'll make $1 billion movies.
yeah. Hopefully, he does something interesting and not just blue space cat movies.
That's pretty specific there, Shifty. I didn't know you were into blue space cats.
I'm not. I'm just hoping he doesn't do that. Blue
You
space
know,
cats
I
that
hope
fly
not
around
either.
on flying lizards, that fly around on flying lizards and have sex with like their ponytails. Yeah, we don't need films like that.
That sounds like a really bad acid trip.
Yeah.
We're not here to talk about those delusions. We're here to talk about aliens.
Yes,
And
the special edition.
plural aliens, because it's not just one alien this time, it's a bunch of them. So they
Yes.
had to
And
be
this
aliens.
this is the round table, but there's only two people.
Exactly. So we're at like
Yes.
two ends of the table. I'm like on one end,
Yes.
you're on the other end.
It's like that long table in Batman where Batman and Vicky Vale are sitting and having dinner. That was a cool table. I liked that table.
There's a lot of distance with that table.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we're just going to be very like usually with these round tables anyway, at least with mine, we're going to be very lax, where we're just going to say whatever comes to mind. And you know what? It's a good movie, and plus we have to extend the runtime somehow of this stream.
Yeah, I got plenty of notes. So, if Chris doesn't show up, we're fine.
I hope so. Because my notes are very, very small. Because again, it's a good movie. See, the problem is with good things, it's hard for me to talk about it because I'm out of my element at that point. Because it's like, wow, I actually get to praise something for once and not like shit on it. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, last week, Alien, the almost perfect movie, we went an hour and a half. So I mean,
that's true. But that was also us. Some of it was us fucking around. So I mean,
oh well.
I mean, we gotta take that into account, I guess.
Yeah. So
aliens.
Yes, aliens.
Actually, you know what? Before we start,
okay.
it's tradition at the start. We got to do this. Shifty, where can they find you at?
Oh, they can find me on the X and the YouTube, and sometimes I stream on there. Sometimes I post videos. The streaming is uh, not very not very. I don't do it very much though because I like sleep more than streaming. Um, you can find me Thursday nights 8:30 on Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective and Vinny Art, their channels for Collectible Past Toy Show. 3 hours of talking toys from the 1960s all the way up to today. And on Sunday nights, you can find me and sometimes you on the weekly wrap up and Jackbox Fun Night on Chris Knight's channel, The Real Review 3000, Chaos Central, Honstar YT. And if you like to play games like What the Dub or anything from Jackbox, come on over and we'll play some games. Possibly.
Very cool.
Maybe.
Very cool. It's always a fun time. At least I think it's a fun time. So some people might not think it's a fun time. But if you don't think it's a fun time, then you're not fun. You have no funny bones in your body.
No. Where can I find you?
Everywhere. When my internet doesn't want to die. That poor extender's not cutting it anymore, I don't think. That poor extender's like sputtering out.
Yeah.
I'm on my hotspot, so
you need to get some cat 6 cables and run them suckers across the house.
Yeah, I gotta run it like the Matrix because, in order for it to work, I gotta have like Matrix like speeds. Because you have to, in order to run a simulation like that, you got to have like really high speed internet, and I think those machines got some really good internet. So I think those machines you just let me have access to the internet for a little bit in there. Talking about, guys, I don't know anymore. I've gone insane. Today we're supposed to be talking about aliens, but here I'm talking about using the Matrix. Why does it come back to the Matrix? I don't know why. We need to stop.
Yeah. That's a totally different film series.
Yes, and I've already covered The Matrix, so I'm not going to cover it again.
Yes. No.
I just can't go. Aliens, 13 minutes in.
Yes.
It's like poetry. It rhymes somewhat. Aliens, 1986. Jimothy Cameron.
Yeah, Jimothy. Yes, we just need to overall thoughts or initial thoughts.
Yes, overall thoughts, and you know what? You're the co-host. What are your overall thoughts on Aliens?
Oh Lord, I have a lot of them. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so the initial pitch I told y'all last week was Jimothy Cameron. He came in and on the board. He wrote Alien, and then he added an S, and then he put the line down it like for the money symbol, and everybody's like, oh, and he got hired. But that goes against the story that the original producers actually sought him out to write the script. So I don't know what the true story is. But that's the film legend there. It's a great film, easily a top 5 sequel of all time, but not as good as original. I haven't watched it all the way through in a while. I don't know if it holds up as well as it did when I was a kid. A lot of awesome moments, but the pacing is better in the first one, I think, which is the exact opposite of how I felt as a 13-year-old. There's a lot more to appreciate with that one than just cool one-liners and action scenes. Also, there's no Newt screaming in that first one, so it's a huge plus. Like I said, the story I just told goes against that he was hired to write the script by the original producers. A fun fact: Cameron wrote the script for this film while also writing the original Terminator and Rambo: First Blood Part 2. So 3 huge movies he was writing all at the same time. And, it's insanely iconic, inspired just as many knockoffs as Alien. or films that used its script as a foundation, like Star Trek: First Contact, which was fairly blatant. And I actually won a mask of a Tusken Raider from doing a little comparison for Wizard magazine back in the '90s, pointing out all the similarities between the Alien script and First Contact. But I mean, it's the Hollywood Circle of Life, though. As a couple years ago, it came to my attention that Cameron actually pulled a lot of things from the giant ant film, Them, from the '50s for Aliens. So it kind of comes full circle. He was inspired by another movie, just like Jonathan Frakes was for First Contact. He actually shot the film in London's Pinewood Studios, where Alien 7 was filmed. And between Terminator not released yet in the UK, his hard-nosed approach and folks who had worked on Alien, who were faithful to Ridley Scott's vision and thinking that there shouldn't have been a sequel, the crew initially hated him, and things got so tense there was almost a walk-off. It had a really tense shooting period there. And it supposedly it went right down to the wire. I mean, they were still shooting like up until like the last month before release, and actually caused some trouble for the James Horner who scored the film. This film earned Sigourney Weaver one of her 2 Best Actress nominations, the others being Gorillas in the Mist 2 years later in 1989, which was a standout year for her because that was actually one of the few times an actress had been nominated for both Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress in the same year. She was also nominated for Supporting Actress in Working Girl. This was my favorite movie for a while there in the early 90s after seeing it in a marathon on our local Fox affiliate one Saturday afternoon. I was super obsessed with it. But unfortunately, it was during a brief period where it had left HBO and was only available as a rental. But I was determined to find a copy of it at that age. And back then, not every film got a home release, especially movies that came out before Batman '89, which really blew the doors wide open as it sold like hotcakes. And that was mostly because the studios supported rental chains and they would charge $100 per video to make them like rental only. And home releases, if they got one, would be like $30 below. The special edition of Aliens didn't get a pay-per-view. Well, it didn't really get a release until they had a pay-per-view release in 1994, which I ordered, recorded, and wore out. The extra scenes of where Burke tells Ripley about her daughter passing away, the scene where you see Newt's family go to the ship and what happens there, and the gun turret scene, which is I don't know if it's actually needed in the film, but that was one of the scenes that was prominent in the special edition. Those scenes hadn't been shown outside of one network TV showing on CBS years earlier. Still, though, I was determined to find a copy of Aliens because it was before that pay-per-view release came out, and I was looking everywhere because I said, "There's got to be somewhere I can get a copy of Aliens." It's not on cable. What do I do? What do I do? So one day we were out shopping, me, my granny, and my mom, and we was going down like the main road with all the businesses here in town, and it's just me. It's just me. Well, I don't know if Austin should hear this story though, but here's what happened. We were driving down that road, and there's this store we see out the corner of our eyes. There is called Video World, and this store is, it's Video World. It must sell videos, right? Well, we pulled into the parking lot, and we noticed that sign said parking in back, and all of the windows were boarded up. So I said, "Hey, I'll run in and see if they have this movie, and y'all just sit back here in the car." Well, as we were pulling around to the back of the parking lot in the back, 2 younger fellas who were walking close together and dressed provocatively. They looked at us and my grandmother, and they started laughing. I was like, "That's weird. That's rude. Why are they laughing at us?" So I got out the car and circled the building and went in, and I was greeted to a wall of plastic, shall we say, phallic-like objects on the wall, and there was this short little man who looked like a troll, and he was frowning. And I said, "Hey, mister, do you have any copies of Aliens?" And he shook his head no. And I said, "Oh, okay." And I heard some moaning over in the next room. I didn't know what was going on. I was only like 12. So I was pretty shocked to see what was on the wall. And I looked at him, and he was a scary dude. So I got out there. And then I got back in the car. I was talking to my mom. I was like, "Hey, I think we should get out of here right now because, this isn't that type of video store." So, yeah, that was an ordeal.
That sounds like a situation I was at like 12 or so, 10 or 12. I needed to go to the restroom. We had driven up to Chicago, my family. I'm the only child, so my mom, my dad, and myself. And I needed to go to the restroom. We're downtown Chicago, and my dad tells my mom, "I'm going to pull over here. I'll take him in to go use the restroom." He took me into the steakhouse, and the lovely lady who greeted us was wearing standard hostess clothes, black blouse, stuff like that. But when we got back and we were going to the restroom, all of the waitresses were topless.
What?
And yeah, it was a topless steakhouse. It was a topless steakhouse. And my dad, as we're leaving, says, "You do not say a word to your mother." And you wonder where my fixation with breasts comes from. Anyways, sorry. Hi, how you doing?
Hey, did they at least have
Everybody's like, "Wait a minute, stop. Please tell us about that. Did they have a copy of Alien?" No, because this is probably, actually, they might have. That was probably right around the year that Aliens was released. I don't know. I did not ask. I was kind of fixated at something else. Something else. Anyways,
I see how it is.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm done. Hello. I'm done with my notes, Oscillator, so you can toss it to you or Chris.
Yeah. You know what? Very, very good overall thoughts. Very, very long, Shifty. I got to say, I'm actually kind of impressed on that.
They could be much longer.
He's like, "Oh, but wait, there's more."
Shifty's got a lot of notes, but
he always does.
Oh,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, Chris, just give your just let everybody know where they can find you at, and then give like your quick overall thoughts on Aliens.
My name is Chris Knight, Real Review 3000, Chaos Central, Honstar YT, sometimes over here, sometimes Danny Graham, the Road to Wisdom's channel, sometimes Onzo, Bigfoot Entertainment's channel, anywhere and everywhere on the original Stream Horse. So, yeah, I stream wherever I can. Overall thoughts, Aliens is the exact opposite of what Alien was, but, oh, man, it's like, just a hair not as good, but it's basically as good. It's totally a different movie. It takes and runs with the monster of the week, the jump scare and horror all the way, and full on sci-fi Terminator. And of course, James Cameron, he's the director, makes a lot of sense. But as good as Alien was and the way it was shot and what it was, this is as good, but being literally the exact opposite type of movie. And I love it for that, because they found a different director who had a different approach about it. But at the end of the movie, you feel like, one, a character you already know, now more. Two, you feel like she's gone through hell and back again, and you cared about it. And those are things that rarely happen in sequels like this. It is really, where can you go with a movie like this? They were stuck in this loop, and you see it as the series goes on. You're stuck in this loop of basically an alien being the jump scare and the baddie, and what do you do with it? James Cameron ran with it and found a way to make you care about a movie because he did it completely different than the guy before him. Those are my overalls.
Very good, very good. I'm gonna pretty much echo what everyone else said. That's the great thing about being the host. I can just echo things that everyone else said. This movie is very, very good. I only watched the special edition because, like, from what Shifty's told me, the special edition's the preferred way to go, and even James Cameron himself is going on to state that it's the definitive version. It's very good. However, and I'm going to put this but, there's always a but. I think the first movie I wouldn't say a lot better. I think the first movie barely edges it out because
it's a hair.
Like we've talked about it before. Yeah, a very, very split hair, I would say. Because they're both very, very different. But I think I'll talk about it when in a bit here, but I'd say the more atmospheric horror I think works with Alien. But Aliens has its own place in this franchise, despite it being a very distinctly different film. And like what Chris brought up about like the sequel stuff, which I'm actually going to get into when I get into my positives, but it does a lot to add to the first. It does a lot to expand on what happened in the first movie while also establishing a more different tone and different approach to this franchise with the more action-oriented film. But I'll even talk about it in my negatives because when I was watching this movie, I was thinking, man, there's going to be a lot of action in this movie. And then I watched them like, there really isn't a lot of action. But
it's bursts of action.
It's still more action-oriented than the first. Yeah, bursts. And, I could see maybe where Cameron maybe got some influence for Terminator 2. Because if you think about it, both Alien and Terminator, when it comes to their sequels, they're both distinctly different. Where Alien and Terminator goes for more of a horror-centric film, Judgment Day, and this goes for a more action-packed movie. So
yeah, let me interrupt you real quick if you don't mind. Sorry. You bring up a really good point there with Terminator was very much this slow driving, menacing. Like the Terminator in Terminator was not fast. He just never stopped. So when you started going, right from the minute at Tech Noir when they meet, from that moment on, it's literally just a non-stop moving forward. He is after you, and like he says, he can't be bargained with, can't be stopped, can't be bought off, anything. He's just going to come and get you until he kills you. And that is kind of how Alien comes across. It's very methodical. It's driven. It's methodical, but it's not fast-paced, nor is it action. It is just it is an inevitable movement forward. And then when they came to Aliens, and when you come to Terminator 2, there is a lot more action and pacing to it than there was in the first one. But that's a great and astute point you make there. It's very good.
Thank you. So sometimes I make astute points.
Yes, you do. Very much so.
Kavari, good to see you. Kavari says Aliens was everything Starship Troopers should have been.
I totally agree with that.
Still good.
Oh God, no, it isn't. It's trash.
Oh, it's great. No,
it's trash. The best thing about that's the redhead in her tits.
Well, I don't know.
You cannot disagree with that. See, he stopped it. He's like, no, you can't.
Yeah. Well, they could be just a little bit.
Well, yeah, I'll put still. It's like the best part of the movie.
Chris Knight, very blunt.
Would you like to know more?
Do I want to know more?
No, I was just have you seen Starship Troopers?
No.
Who?
Oh, he
Oh,
hasn't
well.
seen Starship Troopers. You need to see Starship Troopers.
No, you don't. You do not. I'll give it this: Starship Troopers is it is very meta and very direct in the things that it's trying to tell you. And yet, I just don't. I think it's so in your face, not what you think it is, that it just doesn't play very well. It could have been done a lot better.
Well, I mean,
Interesting.
Blomkamp's doing it now, so.
Who? What?
Neil Blomkamp?
Are they doing a remake?
Yeah, supposedly.
Oh,
He can't do Aliens, so he's going to do Starship Troopers.
oh Jesus Christ.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. I'm going to get into my positives here. I'm going to try and go brief with my positives because I think Shifty's going to have a ton. So I'm just going to go. I'm not going to go like quick, but I'm going to go I'm going to just be very brief. I think, like I said before, and like what Chris said, I think what I really like about Aliens is that as a sequel, it expands upon everything that happened in the first movie, and you see the character dealing with the effects of, oh my god, like I just went through this very traumatic experience, because sometimes in sequels you don't really get that. You just get them going, oh yeah, everything's fine, oh there's a creature again, well that's not good. But here you see Ripley dealing with the after effects of what happened in Alien, and seeing basically being in cryo sleep for about 50, 60 years, and then finding out oh, your daughter's gone. That's a massive gut punch, which makes the whole story with Newt and her father or her mother-daughter relationship with Newt. I think it all worked really well, and I think that was probably one of the biggest highlights of the movie is that mother-daughter relationship, because you have Ripley who lost her daughter, and then you have Newt who lost her family because of the xenomorphs. Basically, because again, it's always got to come back down to these damn corporations, and they need those egg xenomorphs, and then they send all these people to the planet or the wherever they went, and then all these xenomorphs show up, and then she loses her family, and then now they kind of have that bond almost. It all worked really well, and then the xenomorphs, you can make the argument they were nerfed a little bit in terms of strength, because they wanted to bring in the mother, the queen. I really did. However, the scene where you see all the soldiers and the team being they're cocky, they're arrogant, they're yeah, we're gonna get this done, and then once they see all the aliens, oh fuck no, and then they all start dying one by one. Even the commander was got killed off really quick. I was like,
wait, what? Did they die? The Space Marines die?
I know, it's crazy. But most of them dying, though, I thought it was a nice touch to show a very different dichotomy of situations, because yeah, it's kind of the same situation where you have the ship, everybody coming in there, but you have soldiers who are supposed to figure out new, or yeah, we know what we're doing, and then now they're oh god, this is not going well. I thought that was done really well. And just seeing when you see the xenomorphs again for the first time, the first time you see the xenomorph in Alien, you're oh shit, that's scary, because it's giant and it's looks unkillable. This time it's quantity, and you see a bunch of them, and you're Jesus Christ, that's terrifying. And then you see and then The biggest thing that I said about Alien also applies here. I thought the set design looked great. Like the sound design, the music was all there. I did like how unlike the last movie, which is kind of like almost irony, almost is that the android this time around was actually good, and rather than the ant being controlled by Mother or the company, and having the android be helpful and not a dick.
Well, it's a
And I
different
really
model.
did. Well, right, but what I mean is like it's just the contrast of like how different Aliens is how the two you have the android who is a dick, and then you have the other one who's not, which I thought was a nice little poetic irony there. And then and I really the Queen design, the Queen alien design, great. I was again they show very very huge. And almost again brings back that like xenomorph dominance almost that we got in with the first xenomorph in the first Alien. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm all over the place, so bear with me.
No, you make sense. You're making plenty of sense.
I don't know. I just say things. Sometimes they flow together, sometimes they don't. It's again, the soldiers this time around, you know, their personalities again, they were fine, but they weren't like, oh my god, I'm gonna remember their names tomorrow. You know, like I remember some of them, but not all of them. But they were fine for the movie, I think.
You don't remember Spunkmeyer?
I really no.
You got to remember Spunkmeyer.
Spunkmeyer does have a very funny name, so I mean, maybe I do. I don't know. I also like the little attentions to detail too, where like you see them in the hive, and then they're like, what are you doing? You can't shoot that because, you know, all like if you shoot it, then it causes problems. And they're like, oh well, never mind, don't do that. And I did like how at the end they did kind of like a throwback to the first movie where you had the Queen getting thrown out of the airlock like the original Xenomorph, and
get ready for that. That happens a lot.
Yeah, it's the easy way. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna jump off, and I'm almost home, so I'm gonna jump on my computer, and I'll be right there.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep, no problem. You know what? This was also kind of an underrated scene that I liked. Is you have Ripley and Newt. They were in the room where the two face huggers were at.
Yeah.
And like they were trying to escape, but like I like the attention to detail where like the first, you know, like the first face hugger, like they were trying to escape from, while Ripley was struggling against the first one. The second one just pops up out of nowhere, and then it goes after Newt. Yeah. I was like, that was a very nice little attention to detail, which I quite liked. And then you have the corporate douche, like always. It's like, no, money. We need the money, guys. We need these xenomorphs for money. It's kind of like, again, it's kind of generic now, but it worked. But again, I think this is kind of more of a nitpick, kind of like the first Alien, where it's revealed that the android was revealed to be, he's the villain, and then you see the corporate guy, like, you kind of saw it a mile away, but that's more of a nitpick, and I thought it was done well again here. And I just think overall, like, it just looks great. I like the overall story. I like that, you know, like more it's like a lot of this movie works. I really like it. Again, it's kind of one of those things where with a movie like this, it's kind of hard to be like, it's kind of hard to talk about because there's a lot that I like. So, but Shifty, I know Shifty's got a lot to talk about. So Shifty, I'm gonna move the floor over to you. What do you like about this movie?
Okay. taking the costume and set design of the first movie and expanding it for its familiar but unique military look in a sci-fi setting in a location that is grounded enough, is easy to relate to. I thought that was really nice. Um, like that felt like it could be a real colony on some distant planet. That they were, it's so grounded. It's so, just like the first film, like the space trucker vibe. It feels so real, unlike a lot of the sci-fi films that we had been getting uh, before then. I mean, Star Wars to an extent, it kind of felt real, but Alien and Aliens just blew the doors right off uh, for grounded, space, designs and stuff. Um, I really like the use of miniatures for the drop ship. That's always nice when they do that stuff. Um, the puppeteering on the face huggers, making them feel like even more of a threat, which we won't really see until until Romulus. They don't really get to shine until then. Um, that was nice, like you mentioned, the scene with Ripley and Newt, and in that room there when they're attacking it. That was really good stuff. I just hate that. It's a common complaint of that girl screaming all the time. I don't know. It's man. I'll get to that in my dislikes, but that was such a great scene there. Bringing the new designs of the creatures into the mix with the alien warrior and, of course, the queen. The warriors had downgraded costumes compared to the big chap, but the gigantic puppet they created for the queen was amazing. There's some really neat test footage out there where they're testing an early version of her in the parking lot backstage, and it's just that's always like fascinating seeing how they build these big puppets. I was always into Jim Henson stuff and like the Dark Crystal and stuff, and this was really just next level stuff right there with all the animatronics and the the puppetry that went into the creation of that. Um, the finished product, though, when Ripley runs into the nest and all the noise fades out into just the Queen's breathing and slowly panning up for the reveal, that was so good. It might be the best moment in the film. I think you're talking about just breathing alone, I think there's two characters in the history of like movies and TV that you play, and I'm going to know who it is. One is the Alien Queen, and the other is Tony Soprano. Those are the two. I mean, yeah, that was just. I mean, it's so iconic. Just her going into that nest, and wow. Um, um, this film is, of course, the first film that gave us the xenomorph name, so that was cool. Great cast. Weaver killed it with the PTSD inflicted Ripley, who's forced to step up even more than she was in the previous film. And, she's driven to save this little girl she just met after the loss of her daughter under such unique circumstances. I mean, it's insane that they originally cut that scene where she learns about her daughter's death from the film. I don't understand why they did that. Of all the scenes that they cut, that's the one that needed to be in the movie because that's the link. That's the link right there between her and Newt, and it's just gone. Of course, that scene spawned the great video game Alien Isolation, and you need to play that Austin there at some point because it's a fantastic game. Michael Bean, uh, good as Hicks. He was actually a replacement for James Remar, who got like kicked off the movie after like a week of filming, and he's actually still in the film in some shots that they couldn't go back and refilm. He had a drug problem. They had to fire him. Lance Henriksen, who was iconic as Bishop, that knife trick scene was so good. Of course, Bill Paxton as Hudson, who had the best one-liners in the movie. Paul Reiser, who played the company snake wonderfully. And then there's Jeanette Goldstein, aka John Connor's foster mom from Terminator 2, in her first role, and she infamously and convincingly played a badass and buff Mexican heavy gunner by the name of Vasquez, but she was a white woman. So I don't know if she got a super tan or they painted her up, but Yeah, I didn't know for years that was just a regular old white girl. But yeah, she killed it as Vasquez. Amazing action scenes. The initial battle, the face hugger attack, the nest sequence, the power loader man versus the Queen, all iconic. That power loader versus the Queen scene, it was so iconic. They infamously made a direct TV commercial out of, which annoyed the shit out of Ridley Scott, and that helped change the direction of Prometheus because he felt that they had the aliens had lost all their mystique because they had become too commercialized. So that did have effects later on down the road. The shot of the alien rising up through the water when Newt was separated for Hicks and Ripley, that's another great shot. But this film, like I said, it I don't like it as much as I did when I was a kid, and I think there's pacing issues, but it's still really really good.
All right, very very good. Is that all your thoughts, Shifty, in terms of positives?
Yeah. Hey, Yonzo, what's going on?
What's up, guys?
Yes, Anzo's here. What's up, sir?
What's up? What's up? How you doing? How you doing? Thanks for having me, Austinator.
Pretty good.
No
Shifty,
problem.
good
No
to see
problem.
you.
Yep.
It's good to have you on. Chris will be right back. He's almost home, so he will be here shortly. But really quick, Anzo, give just let everybody know where they can find you at, and then give your just quick overall thoughts and give us your positives.
Sure. Big Afford Entertainment, that's where you guys can find me. I already know. Overall thoughts for Alien 2 is, as much as I like the first one, I don't think it's as good, but it's definitely more action packed, right? I mean, they went all out with the action on this one, and I'm not mad at it. I'm definitely not mad at it because I think an Alien movie without a lot of action, you know what I mean, doesn't hit as much as it does now. But I think because the first one was such a great movie that less actions really helped it, you know? But I mean, for me personally, when it comes to the Alien franchise, it's one and then it's two. There's no doubt about it when it comes to like which ones are the best, right? So I definitely think it's really good movie. Positives, a lot of the stuff that Shifty was talking about too, like, seeing Ripley take that mech at the end and fight it. I remember watching that in the theater and I was blown away. I thought it was absolutely amazing, especially at the time where, like we say, effects aren't really like they are now. And you watch that movie and you can still see that it plays out very well. It
You
does.
know how they did that?
What the hell?
You know how they did that?
All right, are you out of your mind, Chris? What's wrong with you, bro?
Chris, what the fuck?
You just come in here to mess up my flex, right?
I said,
but
do you know how they did that?
Did what?
Did the ending with her in the suit and all that?
I remember seeing it, but I don't remember. I know
it's
I watched
miniatures.
Yeah,
it's a mix between live action and miniatures, and it's crazy how they did. There is a YouTube video about it. It's nuts.
Yeah, I thought so. But yeah, it's well done, man. I mean, like that movie itself and the characters in it. Bill Paxton, I love his character in it. The new android, and it's funny too because you think that the new android is going to be kind of like the first one where it's like, oh, more corporation, but he was actually trying to help them. So I like that, I like that little take on it, especially when the fact that Ripley didn't trust them at all. And towards the end, she actually had to put her trust in that android, so that was good. I really enjoyed that. I think there's a lot of good positives in this movie, and I think it's one of the best out there so
far. All right, very cool, very good, very good. I want to get to some of these. Actually, let me get to some of these comments real quick because Kavari comes in. Aliens 4 is the ugly stepchild of the Aliens franchise. Fun fact: it was written and directed by Joss Whedon.
Not directed. Resurrection. It wasn't.
Oh, Resurrection.
Yeah.
It was not directed by Joss Whedon. It was just written by Joss Whedon.
Yeah,
it was the director of.
Yeah.
It was the director, I think John Paul something or other. He was a French director of City of the Lost Children, and he got semi hot after that film, and they brought him over to do it. And we'll talk about it later.
Trash.
He's like, did you watch the Alien movies in order because Prometheus is the beginning of the franchise? No, I've only seen the first 2 Alien movies. I have not seen Prometheus yet.
But you don't have to watch them in that order, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm not a huge fan of Prometheus anyways. If you wanted to skip that, you probably could.
Well, it has a lot of ties that run through Covenant and then back to Romulus, and it may factor back into Alien Earth because we're still dealing with stuff set before Alien, and there's a new element that they introduced in Prometheus. So,
yeah, but I mean, for me, like when it comes to those movies, Prometheus, Alien, Covenant, and I'm not a fan of those movies at all. You know what I mean?
I think the first third of Covenant is the best Alien anything outside Alien Isolation that we got since 1986. The first third of that movie is so good, and then it kind of slides.
I don't know. For me, I just feel like they do a lot of stupid stuff in those movies that I can't get past. You know what I mean?
Well, I got some reasoning for that, but we'll talk about it here in a few weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as like, we need a Ridley Scott director's cut of Alien. I think they made one.
They kind of did.
Kind of.
It's like, I mean, according from what I heard, there was like 2 hours of cut film but he does a very good job. I think the only time I've ever heard him talk about stuff that he wishes he had in the cut or that he didn't, that he wanted to change, really was Blade Runner, because he's done like 4 different director's cuts of that.
Yeah.
Alien, he always said, I think this is the movie it was intended to be, and they went and added stuff to it,
which was unnecessary.
Exactly. So what you get, according to him, if I remember right, what he said was that the cut that was released was the cut he thought was the best.
I think the only thing that they did in the special edition for Alien was that was actually good was they got rid of the quick cut between the fake head of Ash when they were talking to him after he lost his head. They got rid of that because it was a bad jump cut that they had in that original theatrical release, and they fixed that. He
has stated Ridley Cut says that his cut of Alien, particularly the theatrical version, is the best cut. Yeah. Though he did have a hand in the director's cut that went to DVD. He has stated that he considers the theatrical version to be the closest to his original version and preferred cut. He created the director's cut because Fox was planning an extended version with or without him, and he wanted to ensure it aligned with his vision. So what you get theatrically is what he wanted.
Right. Chris, what are your positives?
Bill Paxton. Gotta love that guy. He's such a gun-ho. He is everything that is opposite from the first movie, but in such a great way for this movie. He is gun-ho. The whole Space Marines thing is beautiful for this. It works so well because instead of them listening to somebody who's actually dealt with an alien, they're like, it can't be that bad. It's us. We will kill anything that gets in our way. And that works really well for this film because she is forced to go because she knows things about it. They're like, you've dealt with this, so you either go or we court. Isn't it? They're going to court martial her if she doesn't go. No,
they're going to get her flight license back for her because she got taken away.
Yeah, they're gonna cut everything from her, or they're gonna give it back to her. but they wanted her to go because Paul Reiser, Paul Reiser plays a great schmuck in this movie. Beautiful, love his part for as short as it is. But I love the contrast. They send her because she's dealt with it. And they don't know if it's there, but they want to make sure. But people they send with her aren't going to listen to her. The only one that really kind of wants to listen to her and kind of sits there for a second and does listen to her is Michael Biehn. But even though I think he's the commander of this group, they're gun ho. This is like their first thing. They want to go out. They want to, they want to get they want to get blood. And
he's third in command.
Yeah. Okay. Third in command. But the first two die really quick, don't they?
Gorman gets knocked out. Apone gets killed.
But Michael Biehn wants to listen to her, but everybody else is like, screw that. We'll take this thing. So again, the contrast between the crew in the first movie being cautious because they don't know what's going on. And they're really hunting one thing in that movie. Now what you do is you take, and this is a good thing for a sequel. I know that George Lucas wanted to do this with Empire Strikes Back, and he did it to an extent. Take a premise that you already have, and you expand it. It becomes bigger. So instead of being in a centralized location of a ship, now it's a planet. And this thing can go in multiple places. Now, yes, it's on a station. The station is where they're in the most of the time. But there are scenes where they leave the station and they have to, it's bigger. And so is the adversary. So it expands in that way. Again, the action is a good plus to this. The weapons are a big thing. Because when she gets that flamethrower in this, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Because what we learned in this movie, and I doesn't always play out in every movie, but they seem to be adversely affected by fire. I'm not going to say afraid, but it's like if you'd never seen fire before, you're going to think, what the hell is this thing? So it does a really good job. Anjo mentioned the ending. The way this one ends is beautiful. It's just excellent. And the android, how he dies, that's kind of cool looking and disgusting at the same time. The queen, oh my gosh, that whole, again, they do a very good job of how they, again, quicker paced movie, but they don't skimp on how the queen is revealed and how the aliens are revealed. They're very the queen is methodical, but when you start seeing all the xenomorphs together and them all coming after her, and then the radar scene where they're all in that, I mean, those are some great scenes. So I mean, James Cameron did use kind of that idea of scene, or I mean, not scene, but scene to go. So when they're showing the radar, the boop, 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 and then they start seeing all of them on that, it's kind of interesting. And you don't see it, but it builds that tension up really high. One of the best one-liners in movie history. Game over, man. Game over. That's one of the best freaking lines in movie history. And I don't know, I'd have to go look and see if that was a ad-libbed or not, but done very well. I think the biggest positive for this movie is that it isn't the first movie. Sequels sometimes get stuck in doing the same thing. And James Cameron came in and said, I'm going to run with this premise, but I'm going to be completely different about it. So these were auditions. for what he's done since. I think he always looks at his movies as he goes along as auditions for what I can do. Look at this. You give me money. Look what I did with this. Guess what? You give me money. I'm going to do something better than this because this was what I did last week. The only time that doesn't count is when it comes to Avatar because those movies are shit. So whatever.
I mean, hey, listen,
Facts.
keep giving. He's like, no, listen, I need $5 billion more, and I promise you, this next Avatar movie is gonna be great.
I've always when I watched the first Avatar, and I still have not seen the second one. Ansa's gonna call me crazy, but the first Avatar, when I saw that, all I could think of, wow, let's see here, let's take the mech. What?
Dances with Wolves. That's all I thought about.
Well, yeah, but what I thought was, here's the mech from Alien or Aliens, Terminator, and he just threw it in here and just kind of winged the rest of it. And it was so blatantly rip-offs of the mech that I had a hard time watching it and getting anything out of it. So, I don't know. But those are my positives. Primarily the complete difference from the first to the second one. The attention to detail on set design and special effects, that's another thing. Very, very well done. Those things are just great.
So I wanted to add a couple more things to what I said because you guys mentioned things that I didn't bring up. James Cameron, like, there was a lot of great shots in this movie. Like, when you see the xenomorph queen for the first time, and Shifty brought up, like, you just see you hear the breathing, and then you see like the face emerge, and you're just going, what the fuck? And it's like, and I love like the setting where like they're surrounded by all like the eggs and like the xenomorphs coming in. It's like, it was like such like a holy shit like aura moment. And then like seeing like when Newt was stuck in the water there, and then you see like the xenomorph come up like a shark, and that looked great. There's one scene in particular that I just found really funny because, again, I like cruel irony in movies. Is like, they're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? We just lost almost all our guys, and then Ripley's like, I think we should just nuke this entire planet. And then you got the corporate guy like, no, we shouldn't nuke the planet. And then all the soldiers are like, let's nuke the planet. And then I'm going, they should just nuke the planet. And then they're about to nuke the planet. And of course, Jerry the xenomorph shows up to ruin the fun. And so that didn't work. So that everyone's going, and then you got the one guy going, oh no, it's over, we're gonna die. It reminds me of that it reminds me of like an RDC World LeBron sketch where you have Austin Butler on the Lakers who's like, oh, this team is so much better than us, we can't do anything. And then you got LeBron going, no, shut up, we get it. And it's like, you got the guy out here, he's like, oh, we're gonna die, the aliens, there's too many of them. And then you got everyone else going, dude, shut up. We get it.
What do you know about the Lakers, bro?
I listen. I don't know much, man. I just watch RDC World sketches and I just go, yep, that's exactly what the Lakers are.
I got you.
LeBron's a power crazy maniac, and then everybody on the team's scared for their lives. And then you have Darvin, the coach, who has no idea what he's doing.
I agree.
All right.
I've always. And I'm sorry, I'm going to throw this out there. I've always seen people go back. Not everybody, but a lot of these people are on the Mary Sue, the girl power thing. Like, there's too much girl power and stuff in today's movies. They've started to go back and review this and say, look, they made all the men look inept, and then they make Ripley save them all, or save the one or two left over. And I'm like, no. I said, especially in this movie, they're Marines. They think they're going to win. This is how soldiers think. They don't run into war thinking, oh, God, I'm dead. I'm going to die. You don't think about that, because if you think about that, you're going to die. So these guys are acting exactly how anything, and they do have a woman in this group that acts the same way. Yeah. So, I've heard a lot of almost retcon thoughts about the Alien series, about how maybe Ripley was written too much as a badass bitch. And I'm like, no, she wasn't. She's written perfectly for a strong female character. That's like what we need more of. But I've heard so many people trying to retcon that idea that maybe it was the beginning of it way back then. It's like,
I agree. I think I mentioned that in my when we talked about Alien last week, last week. You know what's great about Ripley is that she has so many layers to her, and she goes through so much here that like she can do a lot, and she's like a badass to back it up. It's like it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, she just knows how to do things, or oh, she can just magically just beat one of these things. It's like she has experience in doing so. I mean, she had an entire movie, and now we're using this movie to give her more character depth. Like this movie or these two movies do a lot for her character that it's when you look at strong female characters, she's probably the first one, if not the first one you think of. I mean, because she's great. So I just wanted to kind of throw in my 2 cents in there. All right. Let's get on to our negatives. And you know what, Chris? We're going to start with you first because you've been going last these last couple ones. So we'll start with you.
Chris should go last. It's Chris.
that's because it makes sense for me to go last because I have the best things to say.
Oh,
so
stop it.
I'm glad Anzo realizes this too.
Oh my god.
So a big negative for me is kind of the change of pace. It works, but it's where the difference from the first movie to this movie happens. You take this creature flick that in the first one is very methodical, and you kind of just make it all about this horror action. That's where the big difference between the first and the second one happens. The small amount of interaction between the crew in the first one as they're going along, and they're split up, or they're talking about this, and then they have the sit down meet with all of them together. Those are important movies or moments in the movie that are designed to make you realize that they're trying to think this out. How do we approach this? Well, what do we do when their friend gets the face hugger, and then the face hugger goes away, and the guy wakes up? All these different things are moments where it's this nice ebb and tide. This feels more like rush in, get hurt, come back. Think about it. Rush in, get hurt, think about it. Rush in, it's very just back and forth. And again, it's not like it makes it a bad movie. It's my big negative, though, is that it is not paced nearly as well as the first movie.
No.
It is either all in or all gone out. It's all in or all out. It's not a little bit at a time, or you think something's going to happen, and then it's like, no, we're not going to do that. It's got a little bit of that. The part where they introduce Newt. That's one of those sections. The cat is another one. But it doesn't play the same way. And I think that's my big negative, is that that's where the difference between this movie and the first movie come out. This movie's done very well, but it's a completely different movie, which works well for what they were going for. But that complete difference is also its biggest negative that takes away just enough from the first one that it's not as good.
Okay. Is that all your negatives, Chris?
Pretty much. I mean, that's about it. Because the special effects are great. The set pieces in this movie are great. The actors do well for what they're supposed to be. It is just this movie doesn't understand pacing as well as the first movie.
All right. Good stuff. Anzo, negatives.
Yeah, I don't have the problem with the action. I can understand where Chris is coming from, especially it being totally different than the first movie. But I think the action adds a little bit of more entertainment value for me, anyways. But when it comes to negatives, you know, and I get it, right? You know, it's kind of the first times, but it's the corporate dude there that always trying to, oh no, we're gonna do this. Like you have these aliens that are wiping out everybody, and you still think that you're gonna be able to contain one. You know what I mean? At a certain point, you have to be like, you know what? Yeah, no, fuck this. They gotta die. You know what I mean? So that's the problem, and I think I have that with a lot of these, like corporate kind of movies where it's like, oh, the corporate guy doesn't care about anything else but just getting that creature, even though they know it's almost impossible to stop that creature. And then when you do get the creature, so you do capture him and bring him back to Earth, he gets out, then what? You know what I mean? You wipe out all of mankind. So I think that's the only really issue that I have with this movie is the corporation stuff. You know what I mean? But that's about it for me. Other than that, and that's like a nitpick, because at the time, these kind of things weren't being played out as, much as they are now. So looking back now, you could say, yeah, that's annoying. But when you're first watching it, you can see it differently, So.
Well, I think mine's a nitpick. It's a nitpick, but it makes sense. I mean, because in what you're talking about, the whole corporate side of it, don't you think that if you just got somebody back and one person, somebody, not like the two people of the crew or three people of the crew, like only 2 or 3 people died. No, he survives, and then when you wake her up, because by the way, the whole ship took that long to get there because it just, she was just trying to get in a safe spot.
Mm-hmm.
Would you not think that if she tells the whole board and tells this corporate guy, hey, I'm going to tell you right now, this thing's going to kill anybody you send after it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think you might stop and think,
maybe we should kill this thing instead of trying
maybe we should just go kill it. Yeah,
Yeah.
We're going to send these Marines. We're going to stay up off the planet, and we're just going to nuke the place. I mean, Granted, does that play well for the movie? No, it doesn't. So I understand why they go that way. But at least show some belief. And I guess at some point he does kind of sit down and says, hey, I know you've been through some rough stuff right now. You found out your daughter's dead, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, you found out you're grounded. But we're going to fix that. Just go with them. Give them a little bit of, be a consultant on this. And he tries to play nice. But again, it's still greed. They want this thing. They want to figure out what it is. They want to dissect it. And I mean, honestly, for 3, it probably would have been best had they gotten it back to see what would have happened. But,
and what's funny too, right? Even after what happened with Ripley in the first one, I know she don't completely trust them at all, but she still kind of like goes thinking that, okay, we're going to wipe them out. And I'm like, that's not... These are not the people that you're working with. They let your whole crew get murked in the first movie. You should know that if they're going back again, they're actually going to get it, not to, you know what I mean, kill them off. So, yeah, I agree with you, Chris.
I will say that is something that does kind of... Right, yeah, I agree with that too. But that is like one thing though that like I will agree with Anzo on is like, you have this guy, you have Joe Schmo off the street going, oh, we need to capture this alien, and then meanwhile if trained soldiers couldn't stop it, what is Joe Schmo off the street gonna do? Like what's he gonna do to capture it? He's just gonna stand there? Like he dies easily, so I don't know what. Like, and how are you even going to contain it anyway? You're going to put it in a locked room somewhere? It's going to get out somewhere, somehow. And then you do bring it back. And then it's going to cause problems over the place. It's going to start killing a bunch of people. And it's like, I agree. It's more like a nitpick where it's like corporate corporations are just stupid and they're like, oh, we want this without really thinking about it. Like, it's more of a nitpick because, like, again, back then it wasn't as common. But, like, nowadays you see it, you go, oh, God, yep, it's corporation. Well, what are they going to do this time? Oh, doing something stupid? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But,
well, it gets even sillier now because Aliens, with all the prequels and the TV show coming up, that's seventh.
True.
That's the seventh film in the canonical timeline. So it's happened 6 other times.
Right.
If you count the Romulus Aliens, if we count the series coming up and the Romulus sequel that's coming out next year, it's the 7th canonical movie in the whole franchise. So they dealt with this problem and they went after that alien, 6 or 7 different times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, at what point do you realize we're not gonna get this thing? You know what I mean? Yeah, I agree. I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you, Shifty. That because there's prequels, right? So if you add the prequels to it,
Prometheus,
Covenant
is the first one, and then Covenant.
Alien,
or is it called Alien Covenant?
Yeah.
So Alien Earth is going to take place before that.
Before Alien, no, it's Alien Earth comes right before Alien, 2 years before Alien.
Yeah, and then Alien, Romulus,
and then the sequel
Aliens.
to Romulus. The sequel to Romulus
that's
is coming.
not out yet, though. But if it comes, it's supposed to take place before Aliens.
Yeah, because Aliens is 57 years after Alien.
So then you have those two. But the thing is Romulus is not the corporation. It is scavenger colonists. Colonists that are
No. It is it's a group of
young colonists.
Yeah, it is. No, it is, but it ends up being corporation because of the
yes.
Yeah.
But my point though is that they're the ones. So it wasn't like what starts it is because of the corporation.
No, they didn't start it, but the corporation already had them locked up in a ship already, right? So I should
but it's a derelict and abandoned space station.
Austin hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
Not telling anything about what happens. I'm not telling you anything about what happens. I'm just saying the people. But anyway, okay. All right, yeah. So you're gonna have.
Oh, hey, you know what? You can add another one there because you can add another one, Alien Isolation, which is canonical, the game. So yeah.
Unfortunately,
hey, don't do that. That game is awesome. That game is sweet.
I never played it.
No, you won't like it. It's first person.
Okay,
I had the one for PlayStation. It went with the Die Hard trilogy one they made. That had the gun.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't too bad. It just wasn't like, I don't know. Anyway, sorry. We just went down a rabbit hole there.
No, it's fine. I mean, hey, it adds a little bit more runtime to the stream, so I'm all for that.
I didn't know we had trouble with runtime on streams.
All right.
Well, you need to go back and listen to like the first 15 minutes of the show because we were just winging it.
That's what you do.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
Hey, can I talk about some negatives here?
Sure.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. On top of the things I mentioned earlier, while the music is great and James Horner is a legendary composer, he was notorious for recycling portions of his work. And for this film, he was supposedly against the clock. So there's noticeable bits of Wrath of Khan score here and there in this film that you can kind of piece out. Also, either him or Fox didn't bother holding down the rights as the airlock sequence music where they're playing, when she's ejecting the queen out of the ship. That was used in countless trailers in the 90s. You could just spot that. Like they even used it in like The Hand That Rocked the Cradle or whatever it was that was in that trailer there. Now that was a weird score to be put in that. During one of the main re-added scenes in which Newt's parents enter the derelict ship on LB-426, it's lame that you can see like a common drainage pipe above them when they're entering into that. I think that might be one of the reasons why they may have cut that out of the theater, because it's like a drainage pipe. It's that grand, alien vessel that's carrying so much mystique in the original film, and there's this big drainage pipe. It's just a common that you would stick out off your gutter in your backyard. I mean,
it's not noticeable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no, it's noticeable. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's right there in the shot, and I was like, no, no. The biggest complaint of the whole film, I think Carrie Hines, she was a decent actress for that being her first role, but the screaming, my God, that is so annoying. Constantly screaming like that throughout the film. I think, especially with all the shit that she's gone through with being, stealthy and knowing about the aliens like she does and hiding for like weeks before the Marines get there. You would think that would be out of her system by then, and she would just, I don't know. I don't think she's going to sit there being, screaming when Ripley's getting attacked by a face hugger. I think she would. I don't know. I just don't think she would act like that. But that was like the most annoying bit of the whole film.
I would disagree with you, because she's been alone. From what we know, although she doesn't really talk about it, she watched her family get killed by this thing.
Yeah.
And she's been without that. So she's been by herself. So she knows to be quiet because she's by herself. But as soon as something attacks somebody, it brings back all those bad memories of her family getting that. And that probably makes her scream the fuck out. But that's my opinion.
Okay, there's reasons for it, but it's still annoying.
Annoying has nothing to do with it.
Well, it does.
If you were there and somebody said, "Shut the fuck up, you're being annoying," do you think that's the time for people to say that?
Well, no, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It's annoying to you, the viewer. But if you were there, you'd probably be screaming just like her.
Well, I think there's better screamers out there. I think the little girl in the Monster Squad was a much better screamer. That's it. That's all I got. Because I think there's the pacing ain't as good as Alien. So.
Okay. I'm gonna keep my negatives brief, because like I don't really have a lot of negatives. They're more nitpicks. Like it's really, again, it's difficult with this and Alien because they're both really good movies. So it's like I have to try and find things to like be like, that this is what I don't like. But if I have to do that, like your movie's really good. Like I mean, yeah, I could complain about some like pacing issues, and I could complain about, the one guy that's like, oh, we're gonna die, like, because he's an entertaining character, but after a while it gets to a point of like, all right, we get it, like we get the running gag, and the predictability of like the corporate guy turning on everybody because he wants that, he needs that xenomorph, to weaponize, but again, but like Alien, those are like nitpicks, because back then, like this was like still new territory. Now it's like you see it, you're like, oh god, here we go. Here's the trope. Here's the generic trope. But now but back then, it wasn't that much of a, deal.
I would say that sometimes it's okay. It just depends on the context. For this movie, yes, not only was it not the popular trope, but it works, makes sense. It's based around corporations. I mean, that's fine. Same with Blade Runner. People who complained about the new Blade Runner 2047 or whatever, because they're like, it's too corporate. It's like that. It's just as corporate in the first one. They just maybe not shot quite that way. It's like people who I thought didn't like the Speed Racer film. Speed Racer film. They're like, well, why don't you like it? It's too corporate. I'm like, did you not watch the cartoon? It was just as corporate. It's just maybe because you were a kid and you didn't see that. So I think it's not just because it wasn't a popular trope, but it makes sense for it to happen in this. And I think that's the problem is too many people use it as the trope where it doesn't make sense. But you're right.
I'm sometimes right. Not always right, but sometimes.
Yeah, I can give you some time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to.
Never right.
No, I'm always right. Just drives Anzo nuts that I'm always right.
No, you're never right.
Oh, I can't play clips? Gosh darn it. Alright, well, that's fine. Alright, well, you know what? Oh, boy. Oh, no. Not this guy. Not.
No,
Oh.
here we go.
Alright. Now let's get into our final thoughts and our grades here. I'm going to start with Shifty. Final grades and final thoughts on Aliens.
I don't like it as much as Alien, and that my 13-year-old self would say I'm fucking stupid because I adored that movie when I was younger, but now the first one I think is much better. But I think it's still really good and iconic, and I gave the Alien A plus 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 plus. I'm going to give this one an A minus. I kind of had a hard time watching it today. I don't know why. I wasn't into it as much as I used to be. I almost would give it a B plus A minus. It's like I guess I'd give it A minus because you can't give Aliens a B plus. But yeah, it's not as good as the first. It's really good though. And from here on out, it's I love the series, but still it's up and down from here.
It's a roller coaster. The anime twists are coming.
Yeah.
Chris, final thoughts and grades.
Yeah, I agree with Shoti. It's a shade lesser. And while I would give this one an A also because it's a shade lesser, it puts it at a very, 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 very high A minus. It again, the atmosphere is a character in the first one. The ship is a character in the first one. The crew is a character. The xenomorph is a character. Everything is a character and helps the story. It's not like this in this one. Yes, the atmosphere and the set pieces are great, but they're there. They're not characters. They don't play a part in what's actually going on. So those little changes, while it doesn't make the movie horrible, that's the hard part about this. Is like if you stack them up, you still have to look at it and say Aliens is not the better movie. It just misses the mark on some things. It probably comes from the director more than anything. Cameron is not as anal about everything as Ridley Scott is. And if you've ever watched other Ridley Scott movies or you've listened to his commentaries, he'll tell you he's always worried, not just about what's going on in front of your face, but things like, what does that sign mean? Why is this guy doing this? Or what's going on at the street level? That's why Blade Runner is what it was. He thinks about everything going on around what's actually happening. So what's going on around everything helps build and play into what's actually happening. And so Cameron is very much directed right at what's going on. Everything around it is just there, so it doesn't have to be doing anything. So because of those two stylistic choices and differences, I like Scott's version of things better. So that's why it's just that small, tiny bit difference. Small, tiny bit better for Alien than Aliens. A- is what Aliens gets.
All right. Very good. Very good. Anzo, final grade and final thoughts.
So for me, for my final grade for this, I'm probably gonna give it an A. You know, I think it's, for me, when it comes to Aliens, I think it's like A, 1B in with these two movies, you know, where I could see where Alien, the first one, is just slightly better. But I love a lot of the action scenes that are in this movie. I'm, you know, an action guy, so I think some of it is really fire. But yeah, it gets an A, and like Shifty said, the rest of it for me, it's not really a roller coaster. It starts to go downhill from now for me. So these two are the best two Alien movies, hands down, and I'll give it A.
It's kind of hard when your first two movies are like really, really good, because really you can only go down from there at that
Mhm.
point. And it looks like with Alien, at least with the first four movies, like it kind of goes down that hole where like the first two movies are great, then the third movie's like, that's not so great, and then the fourth movie just falls flat on its face. Like Batman, Batman Returns, great movies.
I would
Forever,
say Star Wars.
well, some would say that, but Forever was like, it was, whatever. That the fourth movie, like, even though it's a guilty pleasure, it fell flat on its face. Let's be real there. Like Superman, same thing. The first two, great. Third movie, not so much. Fourth one,
It
But
third's good outside that opening.
What? The third
The
Superman?
third film is fine outside that slapstick title sequence. It's fine.
No,
It's
no,
fine.
no,
It has
no.
the
It's like
best
two
fights.
different. It's like two different. Okay, listen. There
Are
are
we
parts
talking
of it
about
that
the one
are
with
done.
Richard Pryor?
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
I mean, his part.
junkyard fight.
I was watching a retrospective on just the other day about what it's on. There's two or three different channels that have done it, and basically, like they said, and it's the best way to put it. It is a Superman movie led by Richard Pryor.
It's a Richard Pryor movie.
Basically, when Richard Pryor is on screen, they basically the direction they gave the actors it was basically this: Richard's going to be doing some stuff, and you just need to react to it. That's not a Superman movie, and I'm not trying to listen. I love Richard Pryor. He is a funny as fuck person. I love his movies. I love him as a comic. Great comic. Just what that wasn't the part for him. He made reference on Johnny Carson one time that he loved Superman movies, and many people think that he kind of did it so he could get a payday. He got paid $5 million.
Yeah.
He needed it because he was on drugs and he was looking for money, and he admitted that after the fact, and he says it's the best smelling shit he ever saw, is basically what he said. But there are parts of it that are good, but as a movie in total, it's horrible.
I like it.
That's great for you. I mean, but
I also think that Ross Webster is better than Lex Luthor.
No, he does Lex Luthor stuff that they did not use Gene Hackman for. If Gene Hackman had done that role as Lex Luthor, it would have been 500,000 times better. It was the fact that they basically couldn't get Gene Hackman to come back for that because, and this is where I'm going to tell you right now, the Alien movies, the reason why they went downhill. And if you listen to the things that they talked about doing, the things that were written out and all that, it was mostly because of money. They didn't want to spend money on directors who could do the part right because they wanted James Cameron to come back for the third one. He wanted too much money, so they said, "No, we're not going to do that." Ultimately, what they decided to do for the money was get Sigourney Weaver. But that's what happened to Superman 3, Superman 4, the Alien movies after this one. They didn't put the money towards it. Sometimes if you put the money towards it, you'll get the money out of it. And if they put more thought into who they got to direct and produce these films, if you go and actually look at what the premise and the ideas they had originally for these movies were, they would have probably maybe not been up on the Alien or Aliens side of things, but they definitely would have been a lot closer. So instead of maybe, I'm just going to shoot out here and say C's or whatever, they might be high B's or a B, but we'll talk about it when we get to those. What's up, Zach?
Oh, we got Zach in the chat. What's up, Zach? Good to see you. All right. So I think when it comes to final thoughts, I feel like, again, like I talked about it last week a little bit, and even a little bit here, Alien and Aliens are so distinctly different from each other that they're both equally good to an extent. I think one's a very good horror movie, and the other is a very good action film. It really comes down to your preference, I think. That said, if this was me a few years ago, I probably would have said Aliens is awesome. It's my favorite Alien movie so far. But now that I am older and I think I have a little bit more better refined film taste, I think I have to say I like the first Alien slightly better, mainly because I like that more atmospheric, claustrophobic, like atmosphere, like that you get in Alien. But Aliens though has some fun action. I mean, you have a lot of great character development. Like I will say it is a beefier, longer movie than the first one. So it was at points a little hard for me to get through it because I'm like, oh man, this is very long. Like I have other things to do. But it's still a great movie. I mean, I'd still recommend it. As far as final grade goes, I'm gonna give it an A minus. If I was on Letterboxd, I'd give it like a 4.5 out of 5. It compared to the 5 out of 5 that I gave to Alien, I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to Aliens because, again, they're both good, but like me and Chris have said, they're like it's almost like a split hair difference. Like it's so like they're both very very good, but one I think has a slight edge, just barely enough to where it's almost difficult to like. It's not like Predator and Predator. Oh, actually, no. It is kind of like Predator and Predator 2 because controversial. I think is slightly than Predator 1.
Which one?
Agreed.
Predator
2 is a slightly better
Yeah.
than Predator 1.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think so. I love Predator, but it's like the same type of thing. It's very close.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's the same thing where it's like they're like granted, I know like Predator 2, they're a little bit more closer than like Alien Aliens, but it's kind of the same difference where they're both good, but one is just slightly better to where it's like okay, like you can respect it almost. Now the other sequels, like at least in terms of Alien, I've heard that it does go downhill from here from what a lot of people have said. Like starting with Alien 3, which we'll talk about soon, it's not. It starts to go downhill from here because studios and a bunch of other things happen, which we'll talk about. But when it comes to Aliens, it's when a franchise starts really well, you're gonna go down from there, and it starts to look like that Alien is gonna go down that same rabbit hole. But as I mentioned, we'll get there when we get there. So we are about an hour and 40 into this, closer to 2 hours, which I'm again shocked by. But great conversation though. I want to thank everybody who's in the chat. Kavari, Zach, we appreciate you for being here. I did have a poll up for this. I just said overall thoughts on this movie, and 100% said they loved Aliens. So
Yeah. Good
it
deal.
is a very
So we need to decide right now, or which version are we going to watch for Alien 3? Is it going to be the assembly cut, which is held to be the better version, or the theatrical cut? I say we watch the assembly and then have Austin watch the original ending after, because it is pretty different.
Yeah, it's, I don't know about pretty different. It's different, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I would say, Austinator, I would tell you, I would watch the original first, and then watch the assembly cut,
Assembly.
because what it does is it gives you a context of, like, a very few minor things that they were thinking that they wanted to do, and then somebody just basically went back and kind of got it done. I mean, Fox, or is it Fox? I think it's Fox.
Yeah.
Went back and tried to salvage it, and it does better. Don't get me wrong, it does better. There's not, I don't know. I'm interested for you to watch it the way it was presented to everybody else, and then back, what was it? It's been 10 years now since they released the box set that they put that in.
Actually, it was 2003 for the DVD set. It was in the quadrilogy.
2 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we were stuck with the first cut of it for 13 some odd years, whatever. And I think it's important to go and then see what they try to do to salvage it, and let us know what you think. If you have the time to watch both of them, I would watch both of them. If not, I guess doing it like Shifty said, watch the assembly cut and then go back and watch what the original cut did.
I'll probably,
the one thing you need to know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm probably gonna watch both, because, unlike Aliens, where it's like, from what I've heard from everybody, is that it's basically the same movie, except it adds a lot of more context, a lot of other things. But with Alien 3, from what I've heard, they're both distinctly different. So it's
what they change. What they change is distinctly different. It changes the whole idea of it. The only thing you need to know, though, is when you see it, it was one take, and it really happened on set, and they got lucky that the actor that was with Ridley Scott, or not Ridley Scott, but
David Fincher,
Sigourney Weaver, they're lucky he didn't mess up the shot. Just so you know, when you see it, you'll know which one we're talking about, or which one I'm talking about. 50 probably already knows which one I'm talking about.
I don't.
You don't?
Neither do I.
don't.
What's the one scene in that movie? Sigourney Weaver practiced for months. She wanted to do it live on screen. And when they did it, she did it in one shot.
Oh, no, that's Alien Resurrection, dude.
Is it Resurrection? I thought it was this one.
Yeah.
3. Is it Resurrection?
No,
okay, well,
that's 4.
When we get to it, that's okay. I thought that was 3. I can't remember. Anyway.
No, 3's a prison planet. That the assembly cut, yeah.
Wait, hold on.
You're all messed up.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Alien 3 is the prison planet.
Yeah, Alien 3 is the prison one. That's for sure.
The fourth one's where Ripley's a bald clone.
No, she's not bald in that one.
Okay, yeah, I guess it is the fourth one. Okay, it is the fourth one. Okay, fine. All right. But still.
So.
Yeah.
So which cut? It's still have him watch the theatrical, then the assembly?
I would have him watch the theatrical cut to see what we got, and then see what they tried to salvage. Which again, doesn't change what happens in the fourth one, because that alone was kind of what the why. But, okay.
I should point out that right now, unless something has changed, back in 2012, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, and the two AVP films were decanonized by Ridley Scott. So this we don't know if this is still in the timeline, and they because they so it's up in the air if this actually happens or not. Because
Hold on, I'm looking it up now. It says yes, it's generally considered that 3 is still
okay.
part of the core or tier 1 Alien canon, and I think Resurrection still is too.
Well, see, the thing came into question because they had the director of District 9. He was going to come in and do a Alien Awakening, which
then,
would take Alien 3 and 4 out of canon. So,
well, again, Alien 4 is still considered canon. From what I heard, when Ridley Scott made the assertion that it was not, that he didn't consider it canon, and basically the company that puts it out, Fox, and I can't remember who did the Terminator movies, basically the same thing that Terminator said about all those movies. It says because it's based on a timeline and that timelines don't all line up, it all counts and it all came from one spot. They basically said the same thing here. It says a director who did the first one can't tell us what our movies are or aren't. So they still consider them canon.
Okay. The AVP films are still that those.
No, those have. You are right. They had been. Well, they were never officially canonized.
They may be. They may be canon to the Predator films, but not Alien.
Well, but because again, there's multiple reasons why.
Yeah.
Whether or not Alien versus Predator is technically in the Alien timeline, it is still canon to the overall picture of everything, because Predator and Alien still take place in the same universe.
Well, that's something we're going to have to discuss because they're soft rebooting that series. So I think they're coming up with like a new timeline for it, and the old stuff they're tossing out because Badlands is coming out this fall, has Wayland Yutani in it, so they're kind of rebooting slightly.
They do exist in the same universe.
Yeah. Well,
because
this is what I'm trying not to get into spoilers, but AVP has a clear, explicit origin of the aliens and the predators. Yeah.
Yes, I understand. It goes against what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is it's not canon to Alien.
Or
the Alien series. But the thing about it is it still takes place in the same universe. It doesn't have to be canon to the Alien thing, because here's the thing.
You may have to draw a diagram up for me.
Oh God, dude, that diagram's huge. Here's the thing. The xenomorphs in Alien versus Predator could be a how would I put it? Oh God, now I can't think. Darwin came up with evolution. Could be evolutionarily linked, but ultimately different. Where it links up universally is the fact that Predator takes place with Val Verde, where the first movie takes place.
Yes.
And that links it through multiple different things back around to Alien. Whether or not, I'm not even using the Alien from Alien versus Predator. I am saying because of the Watani Corporation, the Tyrell Corporation, and other things that are seen in all these movies. That includes Die Hard, because, again, Die Hard and Commando and Soldier, all of those things are universally connected.
I
That's
know,
what I'm saying.
but
They're universally connected. The alien in Predator stuff may not be canonical to the alien in
okay, yeah.
alien
So
movies.
it's like what I said. I said AVP may be canonical to Predator, but not
Yes.
the Alien. Okay,
You
we're
know, and
okay.
I did not say that it is canonical to the alien. I already said you're
Okay,
right about that.
yeah, because
Um,
Prometheus throws a huge wrench into
You're
everything.
just saying they're still in the same universe.
yes.
Kind of, yeah. Because you know what happens in Covenant, and that threw a huge wrench into where things lie and where they were going, and we'll get there. I
and
don't want
and
to.
and and it and it has been stated that it's canonical to the Predator series, not
Yeah.
to the Alien series.
Okay.
But like you said, and I think you told me that they're thinking about coming out with an actual AVP movie that will be canonical to both.
Oh, they. Yeah, that's yeah.
And
Unfortunately,
then when you
yeah.
can do that, well, okay, fine. But again, we hopefully if they do that, they would point out the subtle differences between the two different xenomorphs, because I would like to say that that's the thing. It's like, um, you know, again, we're all DNA connected by like 1%, whatever, whatever,
Mhm.
0.0001%, whatever it is, but we're not the same thing. So while that xenomorph may have some connection to the one in Alien, what we see in AVP has nothing to do with what the aliens are doing over here.
But here's the thing, though. They explicitly state right now. It's still it. In Covenant they explicitly state that Home Skillet did what he did, and it was leading to something happening, that on another planet that we know about, and I can't say anything. We'll get there.
I know. We'll
But
get
to
there.
David Quintana, I would face a predator because it's been proven in a lot of films that a predator is super easy to take down at the end of the film.
A predator is more human and more
Yeah,
human based on on the way that it fights. Because again,
yeah,
in the first Predator movie, and I think even in the second one, there's hand to hand combat.
yeah.
So literally everything about an alien can rip you to shreds and burn through
Yeah.
your skin and everything. It's like, I mean, the fact that Ripley survives through as much as she does in these is telling. And she doesn't necessarily survive because of her own things. She survives because she's resourceful, not because she's stronger.
Facts.
You know what we need, since Disney now owns everything.
$1 million
We need to-
each, no taxes.
we need AVE, Alien versus Ewok.
Oh
No.
God.
No, please no.
Alien
God.
versus Gungan.
God, no.
Why? Why?
While
would
it'd be fun to see the Gungans get ripped apart, no.
Okay.
No.
at least throw a predator
And-
in there
and
at
wait.
least.
And here's the thing, the way you said this, David, it would always be the predator, because you say predator, bounty, hunter, and then you say xenomorph horde. The xenomorph horde has multiple xenomorphs and a queen.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You'd be
exactly.
screwed. At least the bounty hunter we can reason with. No, I don't think so, because the funniest line in the first one is when Schwarzenegger says, "You're an ugly motherfucker."
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think he'd be reasoned with.
No, I don't think he would.
And he's also using tech.
Yeah, that's true.
He's tech based.
That is indeed true. All right, we're nearing the 2-hour mark here. It's late. I'm gonna let everybody go around the panel one more time to let everybody know where they can find themselves at. We'll start with Anzo, Big Ford Entertainment. Where can they find you at?
You guys know where you can find me, Bigger Ford Entertainment. That's the channel. We do a lot of stuff over there. Come check it out. But great to be here, man. Thanks for having me, Shifty. I'm sorry, Austin.
Hey,
No, no problem.
thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it.
Always fun.
Absolutely.
Chris Knight, Real View 3000. Where can they find you at?
You can find me there, Real View 3000, and you can find me over on Chaos Central the first Monday of the first 3 Mondays of every week, first 3 Mondays of the month. How about that? Oh my God. Find us there. Danny Graham of the Road to Wisdom. He has the first show, which is the Chaotic Conversation. Then over the second week is the Chaos List, and lately, we've been doing debates on that. I believe that Anso is going to have a debate with Danny this next time. And then the third week is mine, the Rule of Three, where we discuss 3 topics of pretty much current events or current topics. And then we do what we call Fact or Fiction Final 5, where we have 2 answers. It's either fact or it's fiction. And this person right here, Anso, was the winner of the first round of that, of like 100 or so questions or whatever the hell we ended up with. We got through all that, and then you can find me on Honstar YT and other channels. Coming soon to my channel, we will have the Rumble again, which Anso is also the first grand champion, waiting on another grand champion, so we can eventually get multiple grand champions and have a grand champion fight, so he can be the grand champion. He hopes.
No, not hope. I will.
Okay, we'll find out. And then all the other stuff coming up soon, also. So yeah, thanks for having me as usual. We'll do this again next week.
Maybe.
Yes, sir.
Oh wait, no. Next week you said we have to skip. Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Next week, the week after, whatever we do.
We're still working out the details on that, because, like, if we have to do it earlier in the week, we could do that too. But again, we'll iron out the details on how we're again.
No problem.
I think his
Internet.
Wi-Fi. Yeah, he's got a bad.
Hello?
Yeah, American shit.
Yep.
Hello.
I hear you now.
Hello?
Can you all hear me?
Yep. Now we can.
No, we can't.
Yes.
No.
Shifty.
Okay, I'll tell him. I'll tell him right now. Hey, I'm Shifty. You can find me on X. You can find me on YouTube. I sometimes post videos. I sometimes stream. You can find me Thursday nights on VinyArt. You can also find me on Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective for the Collectible Pass Toy Show. 3 hours of talking about toys from the 60s all the way up to today. Then, of course, the Alien Roundtable and Jackbox Fun Day or whatever on Honstar YT, the weekly wrap up. Come over Sunday nights. Chris hosts, and we play Jackbox and What the Dub, and it's really fun. And then you can play with us. Come play with us. We'll have some good times. Some good times.
Pause. I don't think anybody really wants to play with you, Shifty.
Oh, well, no, because I come up with some lame jokes and they're not funny. And
I don't even think that's where he's going there, Shifty.
Yeah, he did not get it.
I don't know yet. We may not be going tomorrow. I was going to ask in the group who's wanting to do it tomorrow. I mean, we're 2 days out from the thing. I know we have
Ironheart finale.
Yeah. So yeah, I got to figure that out. We might just do the Ironheart tomorrow and then start again next week. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll ask. I mean, and if
forget everything I said.
No, don't forget everything you say. Normally, on Sundays, we do the weekly wrap up.
Well,
Normally, we may
Most
or may
people
not.
usually forget shit 50 says anyway, so you
Well,
can
that's
forget
true.
it.
There's that. You
you
don't have
need
to
to get
forget it.
that.
You just will.
You need to get that name, that tune going. You know.
We're working on it. We're working on it. Just a lot of stuff has to
Y'all don't
slide.
want me to name that tune because it's going to be another thing I'm going to win, and it's just like, you know what? I think
You ain't gonna beat
oh,
me, son. You ain't gonna beat
Oh,
me on that game, right? No.
oh no. Is that a challenge, Shifty? Because I don't take challenges very well.
That is a challenge. Come on up there on that name that tune. Yeah, I'll whoop you.
Oh shit. All right. Well, maybe I will one day. Maybe I will.
Fighting words.
'Cause-
Fighting words.
Yeah. I mean, I've been known to answer songs with like one beat, just one beat. The Sopranos theme song, he'll play that sucker. Everybody be like, he didn't even play the song. And no, it's the Sopranos.
Wait, have you won?
I was a champion last year, man.
Ah, that's easy to beat. That was a weak competition you were going up against with. You know what I mean? Probably weak competition.
did I put you up against Tom?
Yeah, I lost.
Oh, you lost that one. Oh, okay. Very
Well,
nice.
yeah,
I lost to Tom and
Tom will
David.
kick everybody's ass typically at that.
Nah, I'd whoop Tom's ass. Fuck it.
Oh,
I'm just gonna say it. I'd whip everybody's ass.
we'll get you on. We'll put you right on that list of, and we'll get you on there.
Yeah, you do that. I might be busy that night. You guys try to get me on, but you know what I mean. Hey, we'll never know.
I don't want to come on
there.
because I don't want to beat people. Oh yeah, Austin, if he's available.
You know music, Austin?
I did it once.
I mean, I'm not like knowledgeable on music, but like I know a little bit.
Oh.
What are you doing?
You know, honestly,
where can I find you?
I'll be honest, like, you can find me everywhere at this point. My channel, Chris's channel. I know Angry Care Bears, when she starts getting some stuff going on her channel, I'll be doing some stuff there too. I'd go into more descriptive stuff, but unfortunately my hotspot is running hot, unfortunately, and it is 12 o'clock and it's late. So obviously everything's going to run a lot more funkier than usual. So I'm just going to say everybody's links are in the description. Check everyone out when you can. With that said, I think that about done for tonight. That was Aliens. So that's now 2 out of 7.
12, 15.
I believe. Yeah, I can't do math. It's 11:30. At a certain point, my brain checks out of doing stuff. So 2 out of 7. So you know what? That there's some math there. We will be back at some point to talk about Alien 3. But with that said, we are wrapping it up. So thank you guys for watching. This is the Austinator signing out.
Yeah.
Peace.
Get away from her, you bitch.
I can't play